Slowly getting everything ready. Also, double checking audio real quick. So, if you see me with the headset on, I'm listening to a feedback of everything I'm saying. And just trying to make sure. Apparently, there's been an echo recently, and I'm trying to get rid of that. But I think it sounds okay. So, let's update Stream Decker. All right. So today we had a request to play some four color shadow, specifically with a list that one of our subs guy is interested in checking out, which we have uploaded. Let me double check Stream Decker, make sure it's working. Boom. All right, Stream Decker's up and going. So some of the changes from this list compared to like the last four color list that I ran. The last list I ran, I wasn't running Traverse the Ulvenwald, instead replacing them with more copies of like Inquisition of Kozilek, additional threats like an extra copy of Grimflayer, and I think the fourth copy of Stubborn Denial. Mana base, pretty standard kind of for four color lists at this point. Maybe a couple cards here or there you could swap out. Like if you didn't want to run the basic forest, if you think Blood Moon is less of a concern, you could swap that. If you didn't want to run a second peat land and wanted to run an extra fetch, that would be fine. Sideboard, 3 copies of Aether Gust. Card that I've never been too impressed with, but we'll give it another shot today, see what happens. Delay, I've always been a fan of. Ashiok, I love. Nihil Spellbomb, interchangeable with Soul Guide Lantern. Depends on how popular you think things like Leyline of Sanctity are. If you're concerned with Leyline, just play Soul Guide. It's not that huge of a downgrade. But if you aren't concerned with Leyline, Spellbomb is pretty objectively the better choice. 1 copy of Engineered Explosives, 1 copy of Kolaghan's Command. As people who've seen me play 4 color yesterday, they played 4 color yesterday in 2 leagues, won a fantastic 3-2 in both. That's kind of mid range in modern, right? Like 3-2 is the gold standard. As people who've seen me play 4 color on the channel know, I'm not a huge fan of having red in post board. But I do think that things like Field of Ruin are on the decline. So it could be a little bit better. 2 copies of Assassin's Trophy and a copy of Plague Engineer. Plague Engineer in these Traverse builds, extremely versatile. So we'll see how this one goes. Get a couple leagues of 4 color under our belt. We've got the snow outside today. It snowed a couple inches last night, so we get to have a nice, warm internal stream. Also, let me know if the audio is okay. I've had a couple of people saying that it sounded kind of echoey over the last few days, so I made a couple minor adjustments, but I'm not 100% sure. So if you hear an echo in the audio, give a shout. I've always found, though, consistent 3-2 on MTGO usually translates well in live tournaments. I would agree. I think that for the most part, the level of play in Magic Online leagues, at least to me, I think is a little bit higher than the average competitor in like a GP or an Open or something like that. Like, obviously, when you get to the later rounds of an Open or GP, day 2, deeper into the event, then I think the level of play is higher than a Magic League. But for like the first 6, 7, 8 rounds, I think it's on average higher in the league. Because typically the people that are playing in Magic Leagues or Magic Online leagues are the people that like already have their deck in paper and want to play more competitive events. And so they go out of their way to get like either build a deck online, get a Mana Trader subscription, whatever. So these are like pretty driven people. Let's see. Wagner, how's it going? You saw Todd Stevens' list about adding Delver to Grixis list. I did not see that. Alright, so no lands, pretty easy mull. One land would have made this pretty good because you can always traverse for a second land. Alright, one land, but it's a Blood Crypt. Guy would be able to tune in like 30. Looking forward to it. Well, we'll still be here. Like, if I get a fetch for a breeding pool, the hand's fantastic. Bottoming Traverse, because if I find a green fetch, I don't need Traverse. Or if I find a land to make green, I don't need Traverse. Is this like a Star City premium article? Because if it is, like, we're not going to be able to look at it. Also, this is Todd Anderson, not Todd Stevens. Very different person. Are you going to go for the Helix on the Tarmogoyf? Dang. Wildfire flagstones, sure. Make our Tarmogoyf a little bit beefier. Alright, so we do need to balance finding another land versus playing to the board. So I'm bobbling myself because if I see a fetch land on top, I probably want to cling into that fetch land. But I see a Thoughtseize. And the issue with Thoughtseize is I know my opponent has Force of Negation in hand. So, like, as much as I want to cling into that Thoughtseize and cast it, if I just spend my whole turn doing something that might not yield me any meaningful results, then I'm going to be setting myself back. Could be like a big Teferi. Yep. All right. Fetch land. Very nice. So let's try to force the action on this Force of Negation. Alright, so I don't care about the Shark Typhoons. So I can take the Snapcaster, attack Teferi down with one of these. Let's see. Take Snapcaster. Or no, because I'm not putting instant in the yard. So I have to take a Shark Typhoon to put enchantment in the yard to be able to attack down Teferi. So if I put Typhoon in the yard, Tarmogoyf grows to a 5/6. Land, sorcery, artifact, creature, enchantment. I attack Teferi for lethal. Attack my opponent for 5. And I've got access to Snap and Stub. And now if my opponent tries to like flash in Teferi or flash in Snapcaster to save Teferi, I can push the Snapcaster. Cycle Shark Typhoon for 0, sure. I think I want to fetch and shock while my opponent's tapped out here. I don't want to get into a situation where they draw like double path or something and they're able to catch me slacking on this interaction. Save my red source here because I have Cling to Dust. So if my opponent goes for like Snap Cling, I can respond. Like so. Now they pass. They've got Force of Negation. And I've got Fatal Push. All right. Game 1 goes to the good guys. Have I seen the Esper Shadow list by Mario Gomes? Yeah. He actually sent me a message earlier asking if I could play it on stream this week. So I'm probably going to play it either tomorrow or Wednesday. Alright, so Ashiok stops like Snapcaster, Mystic Sanctuary shenanigans. Delay just adds to our counterspell count. Abrupt Decay, we probably just swap out for a trophy because it hits both little Teferi. Yeah, beats little Teferi and big Teferi, as well as like a hard cast Shark Typhoon. Fatal Push, I could probably swap out for something. Most of these are like minor upgrades here and there. Nothing too thrilling. So many new Shadow lists. I mean, Shadow is always an archetype that like people are trying to find an optimal list for the current metagame, right? On the draw, 3 looks at a land. So we're looking at 10 cards, 1/6, 18 lands. I mean, statistically, 1 point. How bad is my math? Somewhere like 1.85% of those of our top 10 cards should be lands. It should be more than that. It should be 1.8 something out of our top 6. I think we'll mulligan. All right, easy keep here. What are we bottoming? Probably just the Ashiok. Like, I like Ashiok a lot in these matchups, but the rest of our hand's like pretty streamlined here. And I don't really want to give up one of our 1 mana pieces of interaction for a potential Ashiok. The greedy play would obviously be to bottom a land and trust you're naturally going to draw into one. But so Watery Grave here is fine because if we Thoughtseize and they have like double Cleansing Wildfire, they'll get to Cleansing Wildfire or Watery Grave, but we'll get to get a basic Swamp off of that, Breeding Pool off of Catacomb, so we'll have all of our colors covered. Opponent is a long way off of this Cryptic command, so let's just take the path. So worst case scenario for us would be opponent drawing into a Cleansing Wildfire. So they could start ramping themselves. Inquisition. Pick up a second copy of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Alright, opponent, don't draw a Snapcaster, Path, or Purge this turn. I would like to draw another Thoughtseize. Good luck. Make Shadow great again. We're trying to, right? Thoughtseize. Not a Thoughtseize. Not a bad one, though. So let's just get second blue source so that our opponent can't have some line like Cleansing Wildfire, take us off blue, second main phase path. Fetch land for lethal. Fetch land for lethal. Woohoo. 1-0. Nice little 2-0 win over Jeskai Control. That's one of the advantages of Shadow right there, kind of displayed in that matchup, is you are a deck that even when you're against the Path to Exile, Snapcaster, Mystic Sanctuary deck, or they probably weren't on Sanctuary, but Snapcaster, Path to Exile deck, you do just have draws where you do something really straightforward, really powerful, enough disruption to get below them, and you can take advantage of them kind of bricking on a draw step or two. I is speed, I is shadow, I is hello chat. That was pretty fantastic. All right. A little more of a straightforward hand. Easy Thoughtseize or Inquisition into Grimflayer, into Shadow. Since we've got our turn 2 threat kind of lined up, I think I'm just going to lead on this Inquisition. And again, because of the turn 2 threat, I'm going to be a little conservative with my life total here. Young Wolf, Patra, Gilded Goose. All right, so I think, unless I'm just like horribly mistaken, I'm going to assume that it's a Yawgmoth deck. Patra is not one that I've seen, but it seems pretty powerful against us. So I kind of want to take that, but at the same time, taking like one of their persist threats could set them back pretty good. I really want to get this Grimflayer on the board turn 2. So some of it comes down to like, what do I want facing down the Grimflayer on the other side of the board? I think I'm just going to go with Hapatra. It's kind of like, I guess, the biggest variable here. I don't know how good or how bad Hapatra is. So we're kind of like taking a flyer pick on it. Why are people playing this again? No idea. But because I know Birds was their draw for the turn, I know I'm going to get to take something off of this Thoughtseize. The hope is that they just play like Young Wolf and Gilded Goose, and I get to take this Kitchen Finks. Death Touch tokens do seem scary. It's a sweet Gilded Goose, though. Props for that. Alright, so we do get to take the Kitchen Finks. Unfortunately, I don't get to get in with this Grim Flare. Might as well test the waters. It's like I need to lose life for the shadows anyway. So if my opponent takes this opportunity to like hit me on the backswing with a Young Wolf, then we're not too upset with it. Top deck a Yawgmoth. That's a pretty good one. Fetch land would be pretty good. Not a fetch land. Unfortunately, this Yawgmoth has protection from our Grim Flare. So I think I have to just pass. See what my opponent does. They're kind of like a persist creature away from putting us in a really bad spot. All right. No blocks, opponent. I don't want to yield to the end of their turn because there's always the chance I might want to Stubborn Denial something if they just like tap out for a cord or something. Gonna walk the dog, be right back. We got two dogs right here. They look like they're getting some exercise. So opponent can win if they find like a Blood Artist and a Geralf's Messenger. I think I need to... No. So if their last card is... Or if they plan on Eldritch Evolutioning for the other piece of the combo, I can counter it. Like if they just cast... Or no, this lets them kill, right? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, they needed the Zulaport Cutthroat. They couldn't win with just the messenger. They needed the other piece. Alright, what am I thinking of bringing in? I can see an argument for like just about everything in my sideboard. Alright. Best cards. Ashiok. Gust isn't bad. Plague Engineer's pretty bad. EE's not the greatest. They do likely have Veil of Summer. So Gust gets a little bit better if I expect Veil. Shaving a Battle Rage, expecting them to bring in some amount of interaction. Like, I don't think I really want to be killing things. I think I want to be staying on my front... Or, I don't want to be killing things reactively. I want to be staying on the front foot. Like, there's a big difference between killing things to keep from dying and killing things to clear the way. And I want to be killing things to clear the way. Kind of want a stub or two. Don't think I got those in time. So keeping this based off having a threat, having some removal, some interaction, having a piece of Graves Hate for a undying creature. It looks like kind of an aggressive fatal push there, but I really want to be playing to an open board as much as I can. Is this Eldritch Evolution? Thanks, sure. If that's the case, I think I'm going to go ahead and crack this Peatland. Let's drop Ashiok. Stops all of like the Eldritch Evolution effects. So if they're missing part of their combo, they can't just search for it. Breeding Pool is a Triumph. It's a Triumph that can come in untapped. Better than Tropical Island? I think so. Yeah. Shadow off the top. All right. So that attack at Ashiok would lead me to believe that they've got a Chord or a Eldritch Evolution in hand. Bayou in hand. Literally is. All right. So let's get in with a Tarmogoyf. Because if my opponent like double blocks, I can Cling to Dust the Strangleroot Geist and just get two of these creatures off the board. Hapatra. All right. Now, what point do I start wanting to just cling to draw cards? Maybe I'm at that point. It's like I kind of just need stuff going for me, right? Check for Veil. Is Ashiok good in the matchup? You tell me. Oh, man. Alright, well, I guess we'll take an evolution. Turn a shadow sideways. This is mostly so I can incentivize my opponent to attack. I can like block, trophy 1, Ashiok takes 1. It gets punished if they draw Veil of Summer or a second Strangleroot Geist. Nice beanie. I like to think so. I think it's comfy. Spellskite. Alright. So their hand is cord. I can attack Shadow plus Goyf. Alright, opponent. Need you to brick. Strangleroot Geist. Don't be a Strangleroot Geist. God, that's the one I wanted to dodge. So I block this Geist. Cling it with the Undying trigger. He can fetch to cord. Alright, so Undying trigger on the stack. We'll go land, 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 instant. So if I attack all out, he can fetch cord for 1, get a young wolf. It only has to block 1 thing. So let's think. Attack all out, fetch, block young wolf on shadow. We can cling the young wolf. He untaps, cords again, can get Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth, sack. What? Cutthroat, counter on Geist. Put us to 5. No. Like, we beat double cord if it's for cord for Yawgmoth and cord for or cord for young wolf, cord for Yawgmoth. So, like, I think this has to be fetch for forest, cord for young wolf, block shadow. How's this good looking and intelligent list doing? We're currently 1-0 in the league. We're down a game here to Yawgmoth. Trying to see if we can squeeze out this game too. We know that they've got 2 copies of Cord of Calling in hand. Yawgmoth is a pretty tough matchup. Round 1, we beat Jeskai at Cleansing Wildfire. So, cord for 2. I think you just cord for 1 for Young Wolf here. White removal and Teferi aren't even good against this matchups to buy. I mean, game 2, opponent died with 2 big Teferis in hand, so yeah. They're not good.
Oh.
Alright, so cord for 1. As is tradition. For Young Wolf. Young Wolf blocks Shadow. Yep. Young Wolf dies. Undying trigger on the stack. We cling to dust the Young Wolf. Get rid of... So they've got artifact, creature, land, instant. So we can get rid of... Can we get rid of enough to keep Goyf up and keep Traverse? So we can go instant, instant, instant. Cling itself is an instant, so we can get rid of Trophy. And we could get rid of Polluted Delta since we have we can get rid of Catacombs because we have Polluted Delta in hand. Alright, so this means we're not dead to Cord for Messenger. We're not dead to Cord for Yawgmoth. We're not dead to Cord for another Strangleroot. We're dead to Young Wolf or Strangleroot plus Cord. But I think it has to be another Undying creature. It can't be like Birds of Paradise Cord. Then it's sack Bird, deal 1. Sack Strangleroot, deal 1. Sack Zulaport, deal 1. Yeah, that doesn't do it. Bird. 1, 2, 3. Cord for Yawgmoth. There's 1 mana left over. So they would have... They'd have like 3 draws to find land plus Undying creature. Or really like 2 draws. Because after they kill off the bird... They've got 1 sack on Strangleroot Geist. So... Whew, coming down to the wire in this one. What you got, opponent? Looks like starting with a Cord, possibly. Cord for Yawgmoth. Looks like a Cord to Yawgmoth for me. A Cord for Yawgmoth to me. Yep. Sestito's new list. No, this is our sub guys list. But in a Discord I'm in with him, apparently somebody confused him for being French. Thought his name was Guy. So now I'm going to start using that for everything. Scavenging ooze. That's not going to do it. Alright. What am I changing up for game number 3? I wanted to bring in, or I wanted to have like a copy of Stub or 2. Traverse gets a lot worse with Scavenging ooze. I want Plague Engineer. Basically, it turns Young Wolf and what's his name? Strangleroot Geist. They just have to come down already with a counter on them. I guess it stops the combo with those two pieces. I don't know if that's worth it or not. Feels very meh. But I do just need to bring something else in. I'll give it a shot. See what happens. Should be for mature since there's singles here. Alright. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Bench has been putting more of his stuff on YouTube recently. Highly recommend checking it out. Apparently, he's been having some good success with, I believe, a 4-color shadow list. And we've also gotten requests from Ricardo. I don't know if he's in here today to play Esper Shadow this week. Blooming Marsh, go. We're just like playing right into this Veil of Summer, right? Like, no fear in the dojo. Veil me. No veil. Malira Silvok Outcast. Does this... So they just have like the Malira Finks Yawgmoth combo, gain infinite life. That's pretty funny, actually. So what are we getting rid of? Like, I don't care about the Scavenging Ooze. If I save removal for, like, Ooze plus Finks. Or Ooze plus Yawgmoth, not Finks. Is that good enough? Do I just take the Finks? Or do I just take a 2-drop and see if he, like, whiffs on drawing a land? So, like, Finks is the best card against me individually. But I really don't like leaving him with 3 castable cards when he can't currently cast the Finks. We'll just take a Petra. That's such a tongue twister. He can't currently cast the Kitchen Finks. Opponent can't currently cast the Kitchen Finks. Plays Melira, sure. Alright, so that's pretty good for us. We'll see what they decide to go with. I'm fine taking this too. Yeah, because if they just play Skooz pass, I'd rather kill the Skooz. So Traverse can get us a threat here. Is that worth it? I think so. I think we just like fetch shock, Traverse for a shadow, play a shadow, hold up Dismember. Then if opponent does nothing, we'll just Dismember the Melira, start attacking. Yeah, I think playing the Ashiok here is fine. And they play Yawgmoth, or I guess Kitchen Finks. Finks is just like better, right? Yep. So I would like to see another piece of removal. It's not quite another piece of removal. Conveniently, neither is that. So, making that attack, I know that my opponent doesn't have to block. Um, like, they're not dead at 13, but they can't kill my Ashiok on the crackback. So, they're not really, like, unlocking anything by attacking into the Ashiok. They could have, like, double Strangleroot Geist. Attack it may. So, I could trophy the Finks. And they Yawgmoth, pay a life, sack the Finks, put a -1/-1 counter on the Shadow, draw a card. I could trophy the Yawgmoth. So, trophy the Finks, they sack it, counter on the Shadow, draw a card. Trophy the Yawgmoth. They I think I'm dead to Veil of Summer with either line, right? Like I trophy the Yawgmoth, they Veil, hit me for 2 of the Finks. I paid a life to either sack a base or fetch a basic or use the peat land. Well, I go to 1. I think if that's the case, I just trophy the Yawgmoth. Because there's a chance they sack the Finks in response to this. Just to get the card draw. Nope. That was the other downside. If they did just happen to have a 2-drop. It's a large number of lands in a row there. They just have second Yawgmoth. Yep. Uh, Notice you're not tapping the swamp from Urborg. Well, I don't believe it ended up mattering. Like, I think I tapped the peatland once or twice. Either way, they were staying above 15 the entire time, or above 13. I always seem to flood with 18 lands and shadow decks. Shadow decks have historically been like one of the decks in Modern that are most prone to flooding. And I think for the most part, it's like anytime you see past your second or sometimes third land, like that is flooding in the deck. So you're seeing lands that are like normal for 75-80% of Modern, and it just happens to be we're on one of the decks where that's way too much. We were playing Pygonti. All right. Got some baubles, little Wraith action. Can't be too down about the hand. Bala Ged's Sanctuary. So this could be Charbelcher, most likely. I'm not under a big fear of dying on turn 2. I do like the idea of taking a Blood Moon. So if they want to resolve a recross the paths, I get to like untap and potentially counter a Reforge the Soul their next turn. Yep. So the idea here is we'll get down a Shadow. They'll likely stack their deck so that they have Reforge the Soul on top. We Stubborn Denial to Reforge the Soul. Or they don't get to reforge the soul. Interesting. There's not really a need to go for a battle rage this turn when I could just Inquisition, hold up stub, take a Pact of Negation, say go. And we'll just stub this. Yep. Now I wonder if they put Reforge the Soul second from the top intentionally. Like if they put it there so that we see them draw for a turn, they draw Pact of Negation, and then if they don't Reforge there, we just kind of assume they don't have it, or they just put Pact there to, yeah, seems like to draw Pact. Agreed. It's a little risky though, because like if we just have Fetch Shock, Battle Rage, or like Wraith, Battle Rage, something, we could just kill them before they get a chance to do anything. Alright, so Push is really bad, Dismember is bad. Abrupt Decay's okay, it hits Blood Moon, I guess. K Command's an option. Still need a cut. Cut a Cling. Slur's better than Cling. Actually, I think no. I think our other cards are just better. So Lurrus is getting in the way of our good Magic cards. Alright, hand's great if we find lands threats. We've got Disruption, we've got Counter Magic. Alright, option number 1, Thoughtseize them. Option number 2, attempt to Stubborn Denial like a Blood Moon. I think I'm going to go for the Thoughtseize plan. Double Spirit Guide, recross the paths. So what you're telling me is they're going to get off or recross the path next turn. I could take Shatterskull Smashing so that if they want to get off this recross, they have to use both of their spirit guides. The other option is take the recross, because if they don't fire off the recross hand next turn, they might not get to. I think I'm going to take Shatterskull and make them use both of their spirit guides to get this recross off if they want it this turn. Opponent chooses not to. Draw into a Pyretic Ritual. So we'll take a Simian Spirit Guide. Say go. So we know they've got another Simian Spirit Guide, a Pyretic Ritual, I probably should have tried to soft stub this, honestly. It would get that last Spirit Guide out of hand, and this fetch means it would turn on Traverse. So that's pretty good as well. So draw, reforge. So am I delaying this? So stub this, untap, traverse for a fetch land, fetch up a Battle Rage, kill them. All right. Good games. 4 colors, so nice. How's it going? We're currently 2-1. We beat got Charbelcher right there. We beat Jeskai Cleansing Wildfire round 1, and we lost to Black Green Yawgmoth in 3 in round 2. So, not too bad. Ooh, it's Fran. All right. Don't amulet me, please. What did I say not to do? Mishra's Bauble, sure. Bloodstained Mire, not so much. Pact and Karn. So I guess we're just taking Pact. Plan on Abrupt Decaying the Amulet, Stubbing Karn. Well, that Karn plan went out the window quick. So what did he get? Oh, he ticked it up. Yeah, don't believe we can win from here. That second amulet kind of killed us. Need less good top decks. So this is Bauble myself, look for a second land. If I see it, fetch, pass. If I don't see it, traverse for a second land. Seems very mediocre. That's even worse. Alright. Bottom. Shadow. Shadow Gust. All right, little Tarmogoyfs get there. That's a really good draw. Come on, Dryad, land, land. Come on, Dryad, land, land. How's the streamer showdown? At the moment, I think it's going in our direction. I say that, we're down a game. Fran ripped a second amulet off the top in our game 1 to be able to Karn on turn 2. After I had planned on like abrupt decaying the first amulet to soft stub the Karn. But game 2 obviously went in a different direction. So now we get to come down to game 3. All right. Yep. All right. That's a bunch of Titans. Huh. And as we see, not a bunch of shadows on our side. That would be half of the equation. We're just kind of missing the other half over here. Typical shadow stuck on one land and no threats. It happens. On the bright side, he can't get an online Field of the Dead here, which is pretty nice. You would have been better on this turn. I mean, we're pretty dead, but we'll see. We're not dead to pacting for a druid. You're about 27 turns too late. Rough. Hear sounds outside and I want to investigate. UPS, much less exciting. Drawing a Blood Crypt wouldn't have killed them. Are they the singles? I don't think so. I can't imagine they're being packaged up in a box. That seems illegal. Something, something, something banned Field of the Dead. I wouldn't turn down that idea. We've already gone over my feelings regarding Field of the Dead, and I don't think it's a healthy card for just about any format it exists in. All right, what do we got for round number 5? We've got a match. That's what. Hand is all right. We'll see what happens. Snow-covered forest, Utopia Sprawl, naming blue. So my first inclination would be like Niv to Light. So I guess that's kind of what we're going to assume here. Take Street Wraith because it gets me closer to Delirium. Thieving Ponza, is that a thing? just in case I hit a Cling to Dust. Like, they have the mana, so I can't Stubborn Denial it, but getting a Breeding Pool off this Misty means I've got all of my colors covered. Uro. Uro's a pretty alright one. Mystic Sanctuary. So that leads me to believe it is not Niv. It's probably like Temur Uro Scapeshift instead. So Clinging Uro, whether this gets countered or not, means that I can traverse for a shadow and play it out. Like, if they want to counter this, cool. If they don't want to counter this, cool. Nope. Carry on. If I'm dead, I'm dead. I guess Utopia Sprawl kind of means it's less likely to be Scapeshift and more likely to be just like a Temur Uro value deck. I suppose that is a read we could realistically make to some degree. Time Warp. Sanctuary back. Time Warp, sure. I guess they're playing on just like Time Warp plus Wrenn Emblem. Like, I know it's boring to sit through, but they do have to have, like, a good bit of stuff to make this work. Like, they have to have land drops. They have to have... I guess they can take up Wrenn, have a Wrenn Emblem next turn, and then it's infinite. So, yeah. As long as this can get a Mystic Sanctuary, I'm pretty sure it's infinite. Or no, they already got Time Warp back on top, so yeah. They're good. Gonna cut an Inquisition, kind of expecting Veil of Summer. Uro decks are legitimately challenging to pilot at a high level. It's not to say they aren't busted as hell, but micro decisions can totally cost you matches. I believe that. Like, I think any deck that shows success, like, you do need to be pretty proficient with the deck to succeed regularly at the highest levels of play. I think the issue most people have with like um, Uro, Field of the Dead, Mystic Sanctuary is not the fact that it can be difficult on the other side to pilot, but more that a lot of the game turns into like a, a luck situation where, all right, the Euro deck just needs to top deck one of like 6 cards and they just win on the spot. And the fact that there are so many cards allowed to exist in the format at one time in one deck that you can just top deck to win, I think is an issue to a lot of people. Alright, so this isn't getting Shadow online quickly. I think we're going to ship it. Alright. Keep it. Bottom the second Gust. Like, I think a good example is my match against Fran there. Game 2, he kept a hand with Arboreal Grazer, 5 lands, Titan. Because if he gets to resolve that Titan and get Field of the Dead, the game's just over. And, like, it doesn't really matter what my life total is at that point or what his life total is at that point. It just ends. Now, obviously, there's some subset of games where I get to untap and have like a really big Shadow and battle rage it for lethal after he gets a Titan online. But for the vast majority of occasions, the game is functionally over there. And like, I think that Uro uh, Field of the Dead, um, Mystic Sanctuary are kind of cards that don't really have a lot of counterplay to them. And that's something that bugs people. Like, I think what makes a good Magic card for the most part is something that has got reasonable upside for playing the card, uh, for investing resources into it, and then reasonable chance of those resources like not paying off as much as you put into them. And a lot of the times, the cards that people have problems with currently, the resource versus payoff is so unbalanced. Like, oh, I put some small amount of resources into playing this card, like playing uh, a Veil of Summer, and the upside is my opponent's got to like counter it or just stops whatever they're doing. The downside is if they stop my Veil for something, more than likely I took like one of the most impactful cards out of their hand, or made them use 2 resources on my Veil. So here, obviously, the hope is my opponent just goes tap, 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 Time Warp. Cool. Stub it, untap, Ashiok. It looks like they were going for the upside. Fog? Oh, man. Fog? Like, straight up, actual, factual fog. Opponent, I was not ready. I was ill prepared for such a feat. Yeah, I kind of just have to stub this. Like, I've got to kill Jace. Do we have an Aether Gust at a fog counter going? Um, yeah, we totally have a fog Aether Gust counter going. Why wouldn't we have a fog Aether Gust counter? Blows my mind that anybody would think we wouldn't have a fog Aether Gust counter. Guy donated $13. Should have just played this list myself. Goddamn. I mean, if you wanted to play against Fogs all day, yeah, you should have. I don't know why you thought I was capable of such power. So, unfortunately, opponent has stacked their triggers correctly. But they don't have the green mana. Oh, man. This league, I'm telling you. Bounce my shadow, draw a card. Sure. So my best draw, I think. Never mind. I will absolutely no value this spell bomb. Like, opponent, did you see what you just let me take away from your yard? I'll give you a clue. It's basically everything. I was honeypotted by your good looks and charisma. You must be drunk because you are not talking about my stream if you're talking about good looks and charisma. This stream is about bad hair, sour punch straws, and the hydrate button. Sure. How's the snow in Jackson? Give me a second. I can show you because I took some pictures earlier. So, a little snow outside. My car. We're dreaming of a white Christmas. No. Bad opponent. Bad opponent. Stop that. I guess I'm just taking down this Wrenn. It's not that I think the Wrenn is like ungodly powerful right now. Just, I don't think it's changing up my clock. I still think I'm killing him in 3. Or they just top deck mono time warps. Have their draws been Uros and time warps? All right. Something, there is justice in the world. Hiya, opponent. Mississippi gets snow like every 5 years. That's disturbingly accurate. 5 years might actually be a bit generous. Another Uro. How many Uros is that? That's 3 Uros, 3 time warps. A Jace. Always scary when people don't know how to drive in snow. That's around here for sure. Like Mississippi Department of what is it? Department of Transportation is really bad about salting roads. So a lot of the times you're dealing with like iced over roads all the time. Sure. Ooh. Nope. Oh man. Fog. Like actual. Oh, you're right. You're right. Custom fog counter 2. Oh man. See, lived in North Carolina. First big snowfall of the year. 1 mile drive to school. Max speed limit 35. 5 separate pileups. Holy crap. What's your favorite shadow deck right now? Um, Loaded question. Are we saying favorite shadow deck as in favorite deck that has Death Shadow? Are we saying favorite shadow deck is in best position Death Shadow deck? Or favorite shadow deck is in the deck with Death Shadow that I enjoy playing the most? Because I would very much say those are 3 different answers. Show me the veil. No veil. All right. No veil, double Renin 6. What I enjoy the most? Probably Grixis. I think Grixis will like almost always be my shadow deck that I enjoy playing the most. I think Grixis just always has like really fun gameplay. And the upside is really, really well off. Grixis games are pretty memorable. Because, like, you randomly top deck a Gurmag or something, you know there's a lot of games that you win because your opponent just, like, can't kill a Gurmag Angler. Like, oh, my Fatal Pushes, Abrupt Decays, and Skyclave Apparitions aren't doing anything. No. Alright, so I can Thoughtseize away the other Wrenn and 6 to make Tarmogoyf lethal on this Wrenn and 6. Could also Thoughtseize away the Tamiyo. But I kind of want my opponent to spend more mana on Tamiyo. That's a bunch of Wrenn and 6s. Huh. Well, it looks like we're ignoring a Wrenn and 6 here. And it's annoying. Ha ha ha. Almost every Grixis game I've seen on coverage also has been very exciting. The deck makes for great TV. That it does. I think that when people think of, like, Death Shadow, they typically think of Grixis. So it's kind of like the face of the archetype. A couple of years ago, I was supposed to do a second day tournament on a Sunday of Comic Con. I just want to point out this next sentence, but my buddy lost his keys in the strippers. In the strippers. I'm assuming it meant like in the strip club, but that is not what you said. That is not at all what you said. How do I want to deal with a Tamiyo? I guess I'm just delaying this. Alright. So I can Thoughtseize away a Wrenn. Give a little power boost to my Goyf. Again, just attacking my opponent. See some people slip some bills there today. I learned rich people slide in keys. Mana leak. Sure. So their hand is... Oh no, they're not getting it back. Their hand's Wrenn and 6, unknown. So they do this. They keep the new or the old Wrenn and 6 to get the extra card in the graveyard to cast Uro. Which we get to Aether Gust. Put Aether Gust, or put Uro on top. So we know they're drawing into Uro. What stops us from killing them? Like, we don't care about the Wrenn and 6 emblem because they don't have anything in their yard at the moment. If their last card is what? I don't think there's anything. Like, if their last card's Cryptic Command, we've got Stub. They can get a Wrenn emblem, but they can't Cryptic and recast or retrace Cryptic. Yeah, Uro is for sure on top. Yep. You got it. No, thank you. We are the champions, my friends. Down, wheel. Oh, got some follows. Mayacon, thank you so much for the follow. MomQuest, thank you as well for the follow. Hope both of y'all are having fantastic Monday mornings, evenings, or afternoons, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate y'all coming by and hanging out, checking out some sweet Death Shadow content. So 3-2 that league. Wasn't bad. Could have been better. Let's see. Our losses were to the black-green Yawgmoth deck and what was the other one? The other one was Fran, Amulet Titan. So instead of changing up too much, let's just jump into another league, see what happens. But we can update our spreadsheet. So 4-color Shadow. We beat. I don't think I have Jeskai. I've got Jeskai Lotus Field. I don't have Jeskai Wildfire on here. So we beat that one. We lost to Yawgmoth. Which doesn't look like I have on here. We beat Temur Uro. We lost to Amulet Titan. And we beat... What was our last win? I forgot. Forgot what the last one was about. Oh, I've also missed chat. Let's see, Mom Quest, how's it going? It's going well so far. Just finished up our first league of the stream, jumping into the second. So you've not missed much. Felt bad the one year we were there and I was playing Grixis Shadow, the L Scrub, and I was winning. I was the ride back to Ontario. That's pretty bad. You're an evil person for being successful at a children's card game. You should stop that. OTech, you should give another one of my lists a go. You always do well with them. Well, if you send a list, I'm happy to check it out. We've got to do 4-color today. We're doing Esper tomorrow. But I think we've got openings on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Haven't been decided yet. All right. Tarn for a breeding pool and a birds makes me think I probably want to kill this bird. Something in the fiber of my being is saying to not let this bird survive. And because I just want to play a really big Death Shadow next turn. So is this like Bant Stoneblade? Oh, nope, just Uro. All right. Just another Uro deck. So many Uros. Push isn't bad. So let's go maximum damage here. Karn liberated? What on earth am I playing against? Yes, I totally should have played Peatland Tarmogoyf first. You're correct. What a fantastic observation. On the bright side, I don't think it affects my clock. Please don't lightning bolt me. Just get back your Uro and pass the turn. The good old Urotron deck. I mean, if the shoe fits and is also like 15 feet tall. That one. Boom. All right, 4-color Urotron. Easy. Didn't play around shock, shaking my head. You're correct. You are correct. I am the weakest link. Goodbye. Take out some removal. We saw white, so I kind of expect like push to fairy in there somewhere. I don't know how much I want to respect push to fairy all that, but we'll see what happens. Maybe get some more info game too. Guys, is there anything in this list that pops out as just bad or suboptimal to you? Nothing really just like jumps out as being, oh no, you don't want X card, Y card, whatever. There's a lot of flex spots in the deck. Like, I'm a fan of having the 4th Stubborn Denial in the 75. but I know that that's not the case for everybody. Uro, Omnath, Cobra, Ren. I guess we got to take a Cobra. The good old Uru Omnath Tron deck, classic metagame choice. I mean, it's just going bigger than the other Tron decks, right? I really hate how it adds Gigantha over here to like the cards you've seen list. Like, don't put it over here. Put it like over here, and then when it gets added to the hand, put it over here. That one. Ooh. Butter me up, because I'm on a roll with these draws. Dude, these pile players will literally put anything in their deck. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. No, don't kill my shadow. Oh no, this is Omnath. That's right. Got him. Drawing a Birds O Paradise. Do I just want to get like Lurrus Bauble going? Or get down Tarmogoyf? Probably just get down Goyf, right? Stub. Dang. That sick bluff attack. Alright. Opponent's got a trillion mana available. Yep. So the hope is that opponent just goes like fetch land, recast Uro, we delay it, tick up Rin, or fetch land, tick up Rin, recast Uro, we delay it. Because I believe they need to replay Uro to be able to like get the mana to cast Gigantha. Is this a Pioneer deck? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Ooh. Take things I didn't expect to see for 200, Alex. I guess we'll just kill them. I hate when it comes down to that, but sometimes your opponent just makes you do it and you don't feel good in the morning, but they just have to not be alive anymore. Feel like a terrible person deep down in your soul, but at the end of the day, you have to remember your opponent didn't give a choice. Magic is easy, modern's a buy. Duh. I would love to play first. Hand's great. All right. 4-color tip of the day, fetch order. If you've got 2 fetch lands and both your fetch lands can get Breeding Pool and Blood Crypt, that gets all 4 of your colors in 2 lands. Really nice for situations such as this. The downside is if you get Blood Crypt, Breeding Pool here, you are not allowing yourself to double spell on turn 2. So you have to come up with a priority. In my case, I'm going to prioritize getting blue, black, green, and being able to double spell on turn 2. Verdant Catacombs gets both of my basics, so I want to save it for as long as I can. Overgrown Tomb is typically our more impactful fetch. Thopter Sword. So we've got removal for the Engineer. They don't currently have double blue or triple blue for Whir. We could take Pithing Needle, which shuts off Glimmer Void. Galv Blast means we can't play out Shadow next turn. Pithing Needle we don't care about unless they blind name Verdant Catacombs. And then it's really, really bad for us. So I think we're going to take the blast and take our chances with the Pithing Needle. Stream Sniper check. I mean, could happen. Wouldn't be the first time. Yep. Liliana of the Veil. Scavenging Ooze, you got it. Yeah, we'll just play to what we have. Pyrite Spellbomb. Man, you remember that time I said play to what we have and got punished? All right. I guess we get to Cling to Dust at Pyrite Spellbomb, which isn't the worst. Bobble. Bobble. Not a bobble. So next turn, push an Engineer, replay a Shadow. Turn after that, hopefully Battle Rage for lethal. Am I attacking with Luris? So this is going up to 11, back down to 5, as opposed to 16. So no, we're not attacking with Luris. So opponent can Whirve Invention for a Thopter Foundry, but they can't Whirve for a Thopter Foundry and activate it. Sword, sure. EE on top of their library. Opponent, that is what I would call not very nice. Luckily, we get to just play the Battle Rage and sit back. And opponent's got to make a move from here. Since this is just presenting lethal, they have to, like... Well, then. Shows what I know. So we cannot pay for a Metallic Rebuke. Which means I will go ahead and fetch and shock, take the extra damage. We know their last card's a Whirve Invention. We'll say go. Oh, is this for bridge in response to the bobble trigger? It's pretty good. Now we do have a copy of Abrupt Decay in the main deck. So we are not just like cold dead to this bridge. Another rebuke, sure. Probably should have clinged as soon as I saw that they had a rebuke on top. Tarn is fine. I guess holding on to this doesn't do anything right now. Like, they could Ruins back a Sword of the Meek, but that doesn't do anything. All right. bobbling on my turn because if I see a or see something I want to stub, I want to give myself the chance to draw into that stub. All right. So I'm going to target. Do I want to target sword? No, they have Mystic Sanctuary in their deck. So let's just target Whir. Let's just go with crack this. Planning to cling again, so I don't really want to take the life loss. All right. If they fetch 3 more times, it's game over. Good draw. We know they're drawing an island off this bauble. And then a blind draw for turn. Emry. Sure. Equip Emry with a sword. You got it. So we could target EE or a bauble. If I target the EE and they put it back on top with Academy Ruins, I feel like I'm pretty okay with that. But I also just want to make sure I'm drawing a card here. So I think we're just going to hit Galv Blast. I think drawing a card here is more important than stopping something that they can get back. Because again, like we have an Abrupt Decay in our main deck. So we have an out to this bridge. So I'm not just like blindly flipping through my cards for my health. Urza's a little annoying. Like, obviously, we've got kill spells for all the Urza stuff, but Well then. Please no, opponent. Alright. So we do need to cling Foundry before they get to untap with Academy Ruins. Decay. Not decay. Well, let's just go ahead and kill this, because why not? Alright, so they're drawing Nihil Spellbomb. They get Spellbomb into another draw. Getting back Bobble. You're right. I keep looking at the clock and realizing we're like 3 minutes behind. And I would have scooped a while ago if we didn't have an out in our deck. EE on 1, sure. Should still have basic swamp in the deck. I wonder if we just stop playing around second Galvanic Blast. Maybe we do and we draw another Stubborn Denial. So we've also only seen one stub in the top 37 cards. So they scryed 2 to the bottom. Traverse doesn't do anything. Battle Rage doesn't do anything. Traverse doesn't thin the deck because we don't have Delirium and we've got both of our basics already. Is this Whir? Alright, we'll scoop to Whir. How far down was our Abrupt Decay? That far down. Oof. Alright. It's okay, we get to go into game 2 with plenty of things to bring in. Mm. Definitely could use an oof. Well, I mean, this is like the one matchup you'd want oof against, right? Tron, it would be okay, but like there's just not a lot of artifact stuff going around. I just meant here because you said oof. Fair. Fair enough. That is a pretty good reason to want an oof. Just not of the kitchen finks variety. We want a real oof. An oof that collects things. So it looks like a shadow hope to find a three or hope to find a creature kind of hand. So I've got Ensnaring Bridge in hand. It's a pretty good hand out of them. Ooh. So, point there. I got Blood Crypt off of my Bloodstained Mire because I cannot get Blood Crypt off of my Misty. So if I wanted to have access to red at any point this game without needing to draw a fifth land, I needed to go ahead and get the Crypt there. Dude. Technically. I will wait. So opponent's got Academy Ruins Urza. The old no value spell bomb. All right. Seems kind of underwhelming. Our draws have been a little lackluster. We're not in horrible shape. No trophy to remove bridge. Why no trophies in this matchup? Between our hand disruption, K command, abrupt decay, we should be able to answer trophy. Like the thing we're not, or should be able to answer bridge. The thing we're not answering is them just playing out value creatures. And our 1-for-1 removal is not going to get us too far against like Thopter Sword. Like you have to make sacrifices at some point. And the sacrifice I'm making is that I'm going to give up a little bit of real estate against like ensnaring bridge to improve my chances against Thopter Sword and like Emery shenanigans. Go a little heavier on Grave Hate. Don't think that does enough for us. Oh well. If only Grimflayer was as good as Urza. If they'd printed it like 2 years later, it might have had a chance. But that was the death of Grimflayer. They just printed it too soon. It wasn't a 2019 card. It was like a 2017 card or 2016 card. It was doomed before it ever took the battlefield. All right, what do we got round 3? Maybe nothing. Maybe we've got opponents that are running away in the terror of the wake that is Death Shadow. That was so fun playing that matchmaking game there. We get to try again. My hope is for another Charbelcher. That one remaining Neo brand player that's just convinced that his deck's going to make a comeback. We ran into Griselbrand the other day. That would be a fun one. Hand's okay. Straight up burn. Alright, so let's think about life loss here. If opponent hits me down to 18, let's just say I fetch shock to 15, dismember the Goblin Guide, go to 11, untap, shock Blood Crypt, go to 9, play Shadow. How bad is that? What do we reveal on top? Bauble. Like if opponent untaps and goes like burn spell at the Shadow, then I just go into turn, gain 3 life, untap, play Tarmogoyf. So opponent's got burn spells, and I want to know about them. I want to know how this is about to shape up and go down. Could be I'm not even against burn. I could be against a zoo deck. I am against a zoo deck. Alright, so we go take Eidolon, attack for 8. They untap, go bolt you, second bolt, we cling to dust, Goblin Guide. They play Nacatl as a blocker, we attack, they chump. Next, and then have another cling available. Alternative, we take Nacatl, attack for 8. They can either go Eidolon that chump blocks, or they can go for the bolt and not play Eidolon. So yeah, let's take Nacatl. This does die to like Goblin Guide off the top, Swift Spear, like hasty 1-drop. Something does die to hasty 1-drop. But I'm assuming that's just 4 Goblin Guide, 4 Swift Spear. Like I can't imagine there's anything anything past 4 Guide, 4 Swift Spear that that kills us there. Alright, pretty fun trick. If we board out all of our Street Wraiths, you can move Lurrus as your companion for free. It's really useful in matches like this where you like want to have access to Lurrus every time. Opponent's hand is not particularly great against us. I get to kind of dictate the terms and conditions of this path to exile. What I mean by that is if I don't want the path to hit anything, I don't have to play anything out until after I've like had a chance to Thoughtseize it. It's a pretty good draw. I'm guessing they drew a burn spell. Probably Boros Charm. Nope. Target's command. Got it. Take path. Play shadow. Play fetch. Say go. So opponent's down to an unknown card in hand plus this relic activation. Alright, so let's just get a tapped shock land here. I can untap, hit for 5, put Lurrus into my hand. Gold Dragon Lord redeemed Hydrate. Thanks, Zach. Always looking out for the homies. Sure. Always hydrating. Always hydrating. In case anybody knows a sponsor at Red Bull, hit me up. All right. Feeling pretty solid here. All right, opponent, what do you got? Second Shadow's not bad. So let's go Inquisition U. Oh. You don't say. So let's take Lightning Bolt. So I guess we're just going to say we're dead to a burn spell off the top from them. If you got it, you got it. That would be it. Rough. Surprised by the Relic. It's not usually one I expect like my burn opponents, if they're playing, to bring in. I get the benefit of slowing down Tarmogoyf, but it's like slowing down Tarmogoyf is something that's not a burn spell. How's the session going? We were 3-2 in the first league. We're currently 1-2 in this league. So a little bit rougher this one. So let's see. Burn. Lost to burn. What else did we play? Thopter Sword we lost. And already forgot when I played against round 1. Ladder, how many leagues do you do per stream? Usually 2 or 3. Just kind of depends on the day. Depends on the time, depends on a few factors. Let's see. Ladder, thank you so much for the follow. Also missed a follow from Nosemere412. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope both of you are having a fantastic Monday afternoons or mornings or evenings, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you coming by and hanging out. We've got 10 bits from Eli Silva. GG's, man. I think I just played against you. Games vs. Shadow are always close. It was. Decided that last turn just to put myself dead to a burn spell. I had a Cling to Dust in hand. I could have Inquisition myself, like discarded my own Lurrus, clinged it, and been able to stay alive. Actually, no, that wouldn't have, because you had 2 2-mana spells and 2 1-mana spells. So I wouldn't have done it. So yeah, I was just dead to a top deck burn spell. But GG's for sure. I enjoyed them. I do think that the burn matchups are always really close. For the most part, it kind of comes down to whether or not I'm able to find a Stubborn Denial. In that game, I wasn't. I think we're just going to take one of their ways to interact with my hand. Like, they can either take the Tarmogoyf and prevent me from playing a turn 2 threat, or they can take the Shadow and I get to at least play out to the board. All you needed to do was for us to draw just those Nicodles. Right. Like, if you get Nicodle flooded, then I feel pretty good. And I think game one, it was like, all right, my line is dead to exactly a top deck, one drop hasty creature. And that was the, God, the Swift Spear off the top. It was like, yeah, Nicodle's pretty bad against us. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Actually, let's just sack this. All right. Can't play and sack the Peatland there because of Narset. I don't know how big decks like these are on like Mystic Sanctuary. I think it's usually like a 1 or 2 of, but definitely not a 4. Or not a 3 or 4 of. So I don't really want to go like too heavily on the Sanctuary plan. I think like that's fine. Would love to play first. Ugh. Iffy one. Don't think it's going to be a keep. I think we got to ship it. This one's not great either. All right, so let's bottom a Goyf and a Stub. Go get Breeding Pool, Traverse for our basic Swamp. Make sure we can play out a turn 2 threat. So playing out Grimflayer because typically it's got better upside if it does go unanswered for a turn or 2. Yep. Fetch land. Not a fetch land. Don't damnation me, please. Trancing Melody, my Tarmogoyf. Okay. Fair enough. That's 2 whiffs on Narset, which is pretty funny. All right. Push. Ah, stub. Not a stub. Sanctuary, backup push. Brainstorm into push. See. Then again, Grixis and Jund are much better versus Burn than 4 color. Being a bit all over the place isn't what you want to do against turn 4 Goldfish deck. Yeah, Grixis. I think Grixis, in my opinion, is the best against Burn. Usually have a pretty good match there. Opponent letting me go to my turn with the shadows is a bit strange. But I guess if they had Mana Leak on top, it makes more sense, right? I was expecting them to have that push on top. So probably could have thought about that a little more. We didn't have an out with the push anyway, because either they were going to not, or either they were going to keep the Jace and draw into the push, or they were going to lose the Jace, still have the push, still have a lethal attack. And if we don't attack, they still get to bounce a shadow, push a shadow, kill us. Grixis is the best shadow deck versus me by far. Right, like being able to fetch basic Thought Scour Gurmag is so nice against Burn. Or having access to Snap Stub, Snap Push, Snap Inquisition. Not a good shadow day. Well, they can't all be good shadow days, right? We have to balance them out, or else other people are going to catch on. We don't just want the world knowing this is the best deck in Modern. Watery Grave Stitcher Supplier. I'm not going to lie, I'm scared and confused. First I was afraid, now I'm petrified. Oh boy, the 1-3 bracket. Here we go. Right. Seismic Swans is the best deck. We're gonna agree to disagree on that one. Snapcaster. Is this like Esper Ephemerate? It's like Esper Blink Value or something? Homebound Lich? Vesperlark, Ephemerate. So it is just like a Bant Blink deck or a Esper Blink deck. These are all cards. I cannot deny the statement in front of me. I'm kind of hoping, since I saw Snapcaster, I'm gonna get to like stub a snap unearth on like a Skyclave apparition. That's my hope here. I know there's a combo with Vesperlark. To like stop your opponent from ever being able to get through with combat. Oh. Are we doing something? Okay. These are magic cards. Opponent showed us magic cards. We'll show magic cards back. Viking MTGO today is a little bit on the lower side. We've had a few rough games, but it happens. All right, so we're taking Skyclave. This is a hand. So, best case scenario would be take Skyclave, dismember the Charming Prince, play the Shadow, opponent misses their third land, we untap Battle Rage for lethal. Worst case scenario, we take the Skyclave, opponent draws, or take the Skyclave, dismember the Charming Prince, play the Shadow, they untap, draw third land, snap, unearth, Skyclave apparition, kill Shadow, and get a Skyclave. So the middle ground there is take Skyclave, pass the turn. Don't play out the shadow. So that way we don't get the highest upside, but we also don't give ourselves the most chance of getting blown out. So now best case scenario is they Deputy of Detention, Tarmogoyf, attack with Charming Prince. We get to dismember the Deputy, block with the Tarmogoyf, untap, play Shadow with Stub backup. Seems alright. They could also go for Snap, Unearth, Apparition, which we're for sure stubbing the Unearth. Yeah, how badly would this have ended for us if we played out the Shadow? No, thank you, opponent. Now just hit me with this Charming Prince. It's free attack. Now I get to hold up Dismember without having to proactively play it out, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's kind of a really big deal. So now I get to play out Shadow and be able to dismember this Deputy of Detention when they try to take it. And this should be game one. So Ricardo, hydrate, got you. Appreciate the concern. It's always nice to know that chat wants me to stay healthy. I feel like this matchup is so much harder than anything we'd see in the 3-0 bracket. Probably. Was the attack lethal? I think you're probably right. Like, it doesn't end up mattering because we knew that they were dead after their next turn. After we saw their top card with the bauble. But yes, you're correct. It was lethal there. For whatever reason, in my mind, I was thinking of the Tarmogoyf as a 4-5 instead of a 5-6. All right, so what all did we see? Watcher for Tomorrow, Charming Prince, Ephemerate, Soul Herder, Skyclave Apparition, Deputy of Detention. Is that everything? I think that it is. So, how do we want to fight through this monstrosity? Like, I just don't even know how good things like Spellbomb or Ashiok or EE are here. Can't keep this one either. All right. See what happens. So there's another bauble on top. Might as well get that to play out now. Vesperlark, Unearth, Soul Herder. So we could take Soul Herder. No, we just have to take Unearth, right? Either way, they're going to get to loop some stuff here. Drawing Path to Exile. Well, we get to dismember Soul Herder. We might draw a fetch land to be able to untap, play Fetch, Shock, Shadow, hold up Stub for the path. Fetch land. Not a fetch land, but we can at least take the Vesperlark. All right. Oh, wrong land. Wrong land. Am I just playing out the shadow and letting him path it? No. as much as I want to. Gotta look up that Vespilart combo. Kind of surprised opponent wasn't using their Sanitarium there. Vespilart with body double. Just get like infinite chump blocks. Fetch. Sweet. Let's get Watery Grave. Play Shadow. Say go. Jace Vryn's Prodigy. So Traverse gets another Shadow or another Fetch land. Street Wraith isn't the worst. Guess we just get a... So Fetch kills next turn through a chump blocker. Does Fetch kill through a Jace flip? So we go down to 6, attack for 7, put them to 11. They flip Jace. Make Shadow a 5/7, so it's not lethal unless we had another way to lose life. Geek Media coming in with the 3-month resub. Here's to the friendship between the peoples of Moscow and Mississippi. That is great. I will drink to that. As a fantastic reason to toast. All right, so we're putting opponent on this last card, draw for turn, potential draw off Gaia Reach. They've got to find an answer to Shadow in those cards. Lavinia of the 10th. So Shadow can't attack or block. Got it. But it is only until their next turn. So opponent's got one more draw step to try to find a way out of it. Sure. And they die. So we go Dismember here. Get back our Shadow. Block Lavinia, untap, Battle Rage them for lethal. Could have also paid the 4 life for Battle Rage, but wasn't a huge reason that we needed to. All right. So a couple of people asking about the deck list. This is what we ran through. Opinions of the deck. First off, I think that the overall power level on 4-color, like the explosiveness isn't quite where you're seeing out of like the Rakdos Shadow lists, as well as out of the good draws from like Grixis. So you really have a hard time closing out games as quickly as the other variants, as quickly or as decisively. And I don't think that we're a deck that can really compete on a mid to late game grind basis with like the Uro decks. So it's certainly something to keep into consideration. Sideboard, still not a big fan of Aether Gust. I know we had our 2 Aether Gust fog count, but overall I feel like the card is a little more low impact than we want. Like, especially out of 4-color where you're not like always going to be closing out the game that turn. Spellbomb was good. EE was okay. Didn't see K-Command. Plague Engineer, I think, is a necessity in any Traverse deck. Assassin's Trophy historically has been great for me. Kind of same thing with Ashiok. We saw a lot of good play out of it. Overall, I'd say like kind of what brought Guy to this deck list is being able to play Jund Shadow, but adding in Stub to keep yourself from dying to things like Charbelcher. Just decks that can do something absurd in the first couple of turns. Having that one piece of interaction can often change the outcome. When I've played 4-color in the past, I've liked leaning a little bit more on like the full 4 copies of Stubborn Denial, as well as some copies of what's it called? Drowning the Lock in the main. I think they're really nice inclusions. I'd have to play a little bit more to make any meta adjustments because we didn't really see a lot of like the top decks today. But I think overall the deck is solid if you're wanting a base to start with from 4-color going forward. If you're like interested in trying out 4-color as opposed to Rakdos or Jund or one of the variants like that, I would highly recommend starting with something like this. But other than that, I think we're going to, let's see, last guy, Grimflayer is one of my favorite creatures I never found a proper home for. I love Grimflayer so much, but the card has definitely been very minimal in its impact on Modern. Like, I wish it would be like Magmatic Channeler and just like found a home and really shined, but it hasn't gotten to that point yet. But either way, I think I'm going to call the stream here and send everybody over to Will Hall. He's currently playing some Black Green Yawgmoth, one of the decks that did beat us in the first league. Back before the companion change, the Rock Lurrus list was great with it. Right. A whole bunch of cards were great before the Lurrus change. He just ended? Oh no. We'll have to find somebody else. You are correct. It looks like he raided Squad Chief. Alright, let's scour the list. See who all's streaming. Here we go. We're gonna raid Wusa, who's playing some 5-color Niv. So if you stick around, feel free to share some love from the channel. Otherwise, appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. Always great to have everyone for another fantastic stream. Look forward to tomorrow. We're going to be playing some Esper Shadow tomorrow. A couple of people have requested it. Apparently it's showing up in the MTG Goldfish dumps. So we'll see how that goes. Probably going to get started around 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. So hope to see you then. Take it easy until tomorrow.